First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.
Hey, sports fans, we are back for another edition of Drama Queens. And this one, we are talking about episode 22 in season 2, The Tide That Left and Never Came Back. Air date May 24th, 2005. Here's what happens in this episode. Hilarie cries a lot. Chad does a really nice job of being very sincere. And Brian Greenberg is a full teen heartthrob. But really, it's part 1 of season 2, finale. And we have Jimmy Eat World. Lucas and Brooke head to New York for an overnight stay with Haley. Peyton and Jake's relationship hits another bump in the road because of Nikki, and Dan is still out to destroy Karen. He's ruining her relationship with Andy. And meanwhile, Andy's trying to find out what Dan is hiding in his office. Bum, bum, bum. And Nathan's got a really big decision to make about high flyers and his family. If you're wondering why it sounds a little quiet here, it's because I am the only drama queen. I'm the only one in the studio today. But never fear, we have an awesome guest today. One of my dearest friends, who you may recognize, you might recognize him. He was raised in Kelowna, British Columbia, as the son of an ice hockey player, but he started his acting career on a soap opera called Santa Barbara. And then he did Beverly Hills 90210. And then he did Soap Dish. This guy was even in The Notebook. Ladies and gentlemen, a drama king in his own right. My dear friend, Paul Johansson. Hello, Paul.
Hi. Yeah, drama king. That's just because we share our lives privately. We know our dramas. Right?
Drama king and queen, for sure. Oh my goodness. Wait, what did it feel like to watch this episode back? I mean, how long has it been since you've watched an episode except for the one? Did you watch one before you did our live episode?
I have to admit I didn't watch it. No. I watched part of it. No, I did. I watched part of it.
Yeah, you saw some of it because we discussed it.
Yeah, part of it.
But to really sit and just take it all in after
2011. Yeah, the season finale.
Right.
Yeah, the series finale.
Yeah, that was the last one I watched. It's been a long time. How'd that feel?
Actually, there's a lot. The world has turned TV, right? All the great filmmakers are making TV shows now.
Yeah.
Right? All the big actors, our big stars, we're like, oh, they'll never do TV. They're all TV stars.
Yeah,
now.
it's all changed.
It's a huge different world out there. And so, but to go and see the simpleness and the sweetness, and we were talking about it during the episode we were watching together. There was something really charming, and the way that our creators made music the backbone of our show.
Yeah,
I gave it a kind of like a poetry about it, don't you think?
I totally think so. I felt like they introduced me to a lot of bands that I didn't know about. I guess because I was never really into the modern trendy music scene. I was always such like an old hippie with music and listening to Carole King in my room and Billy Joel. And so it was really fun to be able to hear what all the new bands were and it be introduced to all this new talent. And clearly Jimmy Eat World at the time was a really big deal and got bigger. So that was really fun.
Did our show have something to do with a little bit of bump in their careers?
I think it did. I mean, I would love to ask them, but it had to have. I mean, the show was huge at the time. Season 2 was when it really started to lift off, which is crazy because we've been saying this whole time that it was such a boring season, or just not boring, but kind of a terrible season. It was just so over the top and so many things that we didn't love. But
it reminds me when you mentioned Santa Barbara, like nobody knows. Back in the days doing soap operas, the producer used to walk through the set before every scene going, remember, tension, everybody, tension. Like they wanted conflict. Every scene has to have conflict. And so I was watching this episode and I was like going, this is kind of the formula for keeping people interested.
Yeah.
Conflict. And this episode is rife with conflict.
It's non-stop. I mean, it is a finale, so I think that's fair enough.
I wouldn't have said this 10 years ago if I watched this episode, which I think I did. But my favorite storyline in this episode, I really liked Jake and Hilarie story. Yeah. I thought there was something. I mean, she was literally sobbing in every scene.
Every scene. I wish she was here right now because she would have so many fun things to say about that.
But you know, he's got now that I'm a single dad.
Yeah.
And I know, and we both know what it's like to raise, a little one in the craziness of having,
family cord and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's hard.
And you see, his, I just see a real kind of honor about the way that he approached it. Do you know what I mean? Like he's fighting hard, but he's still got this great, and I love his love for his daughter, that it's more than his love for even Peyton.
Yeah.
Which, kind of to be a great parent, you kind of love your kids more than your partner.
Right? I don't know. You know what? I've heard different sides on that. And
I'm very curious about that.
Well, that's something that actually is worth talking about because as a parent, I mean, I'm a single mom, so I can't speak from experience on this, but it does seem to me that in order to give your child the stability that a child needs, that making your partner the most important person in the family to you, and then the children come second, kind of eliminates an element of codependence with your child, that the child knows their place in the structure of the family and their place in the world, rather than feeling like they might be above the other parent.
That is a beautiful interpretation. I've never heard it put that way before, but I really need to sit with that and ponder that. I love it. What I would submit to you would be, one is that I think they may be different loves.
Yeah.
And the second part would be that I've never experienced.
Me either.
That I've come first before anything. Like it's usually, no, my career comes first. No, this is my favorite car. You're never driving it. All right. Well.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've never experienced that either. Not in my childhood.
Been put first ever in someone's life. Like you've never been, you are my priority. I'm going to make sure that this is the most important thing to me. And you've never been made to feel that way?
I don't. I think I have a couple with like I can think of maybe one or maybe two boyfriends that I felt that way with, but it always came with baggage of like, there was actually a neediness underneath it, where by them making me the priority, it felt like they were.
That was my follow-up question.
Yeah, it was more about them than it. Right. It was more about them than it was about me. So I think, no, I don't think
You see why it's hard. It's hard for us as men to know, I'm going to make you first. Well, if I make her first, she won't respect me. You know what I mean? So, okay, I'm going to pretend she is first, but I'm not going to let her know that. I'm going to act like, not going to go with the guys tonight, right? Well, it's our anniversary. Well, yeah, we'll celebrate with, we'll do it tomorrow.
I don't know if it's that I wouldn't respect it or don't respect it. I think it's just that I don't want there to be any guile about it. I don't want there to be any like you're trying to get something out of it by being the knight in shining armor. Like, it's the quiet honor that you actually talk about a lot, Paul, in your life and the way that you function in your life with your relationships and with your son and with your work. And there's an internal honor code that I think is what I'm looking for in the context of what we're talking about, where it's not just, hey, look at me, I'm the knight in shining armor. Okay, now give me something for it. It's just a genuine offering of, you're my priority. And I don't need you to give any back, because then I will give above and beyond. But if I sense that there's guile, it freaks me out and I kind of back off.
Let me ask you a question about that. When you feel you're about to step over that line of that code ever, because I know you and I have a lot of similarities with this.
Yeah.
It's almost like an alarm is ringing inside of you going, this isn't who you are. This isn't you. But even if it's easy, and you test that code sometimes.
Even if it's what? Say again?
Even if it's an easy step over the line, like something, that you like, I don't know, this is a terrible example, but like taking a job just for the money when you know that it's like something you shouldn't be doing because your heart's not going to be in it.
Yeah.
Right. I know a lot of people may not be able to understand that, but from an artist's point of view, that's almost like selling your soul.
Right.
And it's painful, but we've all kind of gone there.
Yeah.
And what you do is you try not to be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
You've done it. And say, it's like, I've got to be able to forgive myself for that moment, because there's a bigger picture here. If I can really live the good life that I want to live, and most of all, wake up and look in the mirror and not be disappointed, then everything else will be okay.
Yeah.
Eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there has to be that internal honor code. And as artists, I think we, as actors particularly, I guess, we become professional bullshit detectors in a lot of ways. And that, bleeds into our relationships because I know I do. My alarms all go crazy.
And destroys them too.
Yeah, if I feel like somebody's not being real with me, and then I can just pick and pick and pick. But bringing it back to the kids, which is that, I haven't been in a relationship long enough with a romantic relationship long enough while I've had my daughter to be able to say that this theory works. But in theory, it does seem to make sense to me. And I appreciate what Jake does here.
If there was a scale, you could say, like, here's the components that I need to be in a relationship. Like, you have to be attracted to the other person.
Of course.
You have to respect them.
Yes.
And you have to have similar long-term goals.
Yeah, values and long-term goals, I guess, yeah.
Is there anything else I'm missing on that?
No, I think that's it. Values is a huge one. And then, long-term goals, I think. Well, long-term goals change. I mean, the long-term goals I think I had when I was 20 are very different from what I have now.
See, for me, it was only, I just had to be attracted. That was the cutoff.
How many years did you live like that? As a handsome acting bachelor, like party man out there, you had access to everything. I mean, everything at your feet, at your disposal. How long did you live your life that way before you started to go, okay, I need a shift now?
My dating life is an HBO special. It is. It is a complicated, long. I mean, I dated a girl that we were followed by the CIA one time. I dated a girl. Yeah, I dated a girl who was involved in a very big political scandal back in like the late 1980s. And he's quite a famous person. And then who else I've dated. It's been a very interesting. But I came from a small town. You said at the beginning of the thing, from Kelowna, British Columbia. Yeah. Beautiful little glacier lake town in Canada, which and like you came from New Jersey, and now you meet all these people that everyone has this idea of what they are. Nobody is like what they perceive to be in the public persona. Everybody's way more complicated, nuanced, and different.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's so hard to just take one glance or know a character or read some interviews or whatever, see some interviews and feel like you really have a whole rounded picture of a person.
You said when Jake was on his motorcycle, you like, what'd you say? You said,
he's such a teen heartthrob.
So there you go. See the image of a young, handsome, honorable, single man fighting for your hair looks.
I know, thanks. I'm having fun with my hair, guys.
On the motorcycle. And he's got the James Dean look over his shoulder. He's not looking right at you. He's got to look over his shoulder a little bit. Yeah. He's got everything going on. And you go, and I guess I could hear on the other side you sweating. I can hear you. And I was like going, yeah, okay, I get it. There's the imagery. But that sort of plays into our thing. It's like, this is the presentation.
Yeah.
But we know he's goofy and lovable and intelligent and funny and fun. And like, he's not this like, deep and tortured. He's you know what I mean? So we get these fragments.
You get glimpses. Well, I loved the glimpses we got of him. And Hilarie, I agree. They did a really nice job and they had a great storyline. And I also really liked Chad in this episode a lot. I thought he was really sincere.
I agree. It's some of the
go ahead.
Profound being there moments. He's there. I thought so too. I thought he didn't stretch. He wasn't pushing hard. It was very natural. I agree with you. I think he was very good in this episode. Yeah,
really sincere and just kind of the thread between all the storyline.
Although I do question the moment when he sits and judges Haley for playing around. It wasn't sexual in context with you and
but come on, he hasn't seen her in ages. Like the first time he shows up to see her and she's like on a couch, wrestling with this guy. I don't know. I get that he was annoyed,
tickling, giggling, and then he's passing judgment. I was like going, oh, come on.
Yeah, one of the
that's real too. That's real. Right?
It is, and one of the things about going back and watching this show, it's been fun to realize where we are now in our maturity and our understanding of the gray areas of life and how nothing is exactly what it seems. And, there's just so many facets to a person and their experiences. And when you're in high school or when you're in your early 20s, like we were when we were filming it, and then you have so much judgment and the world seems much more black and white. And I think you and I see that with our kids too, because I know Maria's like that. The things are very black and white and trying to explain, well, there's gray areas here. I mean, I know, Quinn, you're laughing. Go ahead.
Especially atheist, communist. I'm this way, Dad. I'm like, yeah, tell me in 5 years what you are,
Right.
It's all going to change. It's funny. I was thinking about what you were saying about our perception of people too. It's like when I was in high school, I knew what my future wife was going to be. She was going to speak French and wear Chanel all the time. And she was going to be, speak 9 languages and, have a PhD in philosophy. And she's going to love me and we're going to be together forever.
Oh my God, that's such a high bar.
Right. And then, in my 40s and 50s, she has to have a pulse. It's like literally just like, I'm going to narrow it down way small. Right?
Oh God, I know. I'm looking at my notes here because there was so much drama in this episode.
I have lots of notes too.
Oh, you do?
Talk about Dan for a second.
Yeah. Let's talk about Dan, because what the hell was that with Karen? Oh my God.
Are you going to the kiss right away?
Okay, well, we can build up to it. Go ahead.
Well, I just thought that, okay, first off, there was something early on with you, right? We had a little thing there, right? Was that you?
That was the flashback when you brought the annulment papers.
That's right. Okay. So,
yeah.
Okay. That sets up this finale.
Definitely.
Right. And that's the papers that you gave Lucas.
Right.
Or copies of to give to him.
Yeah, because I think you forged Nathan's signature or something, but you gave me the paperwork and told me that Nathan had signed it. And so I believed you. How many times do people have to be proven wrong by believing Dan and finding out that he's just lying?
What's that old adage again? It's like when people show you who they are.
Believe them. Yeah.
But, I got to be honest with you. Even though I'm the actor playing the part, I really enjoyed Dan. I enjoyed when he came on. I went, okay, something's going to happen. And that's a nice feeling. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Is that one of your favorite things about playing Dan or playing a character that is so instigating of things? Or I don't know. Help me with my vocabulary word.
Because this is you're so like, this is why you and I are friends. Your instincts as an artist are always so like perfect. It's like, I love talking because it's shorthand with us. We know, I know that you cut to stuff. When Karen comes in and she's mad, she's like spitting fire, man. She's Satan's mistress at the moment. And she comes in, the first cut to me sitting in the chair, I see her in my eyes and immediately I start to go, got her. Because if I can affect somebody, and then my character is smiling because he knows I got her. Why would he do anything unless he got a reaction? Everything is for a reaction. Yeah. And that was the fun part of playing Dan was I get to make people react.
Yes.
So fun.
Yes. That's the fun part about anyone will tell you playing a villain is fun. Because you get to get a reaction out of people. Everything that you do is very forward movement. And it's got a lot of energy behind it. It's really fun.
But then you don't play, you don't want to, the real interesting and nuance to that, which makes it really interesting is once you've got them is you play opposite their energy when they come in the room.
Yes.
She's moving and moving, moving, and I'm very still.
Yeah.
And she's moving and moving, and I'm very still. It's like you want and make them rage against
it. God, it's a classic. I mean, I know you and I both have experience with narcissists in different areas in our life. And but that is so classic. That's what they do. They pick at you and they do enough things to where you explode because you're a normal human being with a normal reaction. And then they turn around and go, look how crazy you are. Oh my goodness.
You need help. You really need help.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, it's scary, but you knew that, and you knew how to add those layers to Dan, which I love.
It's funny because there's no specifics in this because I don't think it's fair.
Of course,
because we pull a lot of our work off of not one person, but just a plethora of life experience.
Absolutely.
But I will say that the people that have irritated me, that have got under my skin the most, are the ones that I, against my better nature, still trusted. Because they were good. They were like, supportive and loving and this, but something inside of me was going, yeah, this doesn't feel authentic. But I still wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Right?
It's that gut feeling. It's hard to get in touch with your gut sometimes. I spent a lot of years of my life believing that my instincts were bad and just messed up. Like there was something wrong with my instincts. And so I needed to trust other people's instincts for me. And I spent a lot of time handing out my autonomy to other people that I trusted. Some people were lovely people that I trusted, and some people did terrible things to me because I trusted them, and I shouldn't have. But at the end of the day, that's my fault for not. I guess, you're a kid. Especially when you're young, those things get taught to you in such strange ways. But at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to learn how to come out of that and trust that nobody knows better for us than us. We're the only people that have our gut. We're the only people living our lives. And, walking through life, not taking chances, not risking trusting the wrong people is no way to live. So I think you kind of have to do that. You have to experiment with that.
These are the great takeaways from our show, though. Imagine our audience watches all these scenarios. In this episode, there was 50 different scenarios of people being manipulated or feeling bad or situations not going the way you wanted them to. And it was about how people reacted to them. And so when all of our fans come up to us at conventions on the street and they want to talk about the show and they want to hear about it, you realize that they're living through these characters.
Yeah.
And they're bringing in their own life experiences and going, and it helps in a way, and I don't mean like to educate, but the more you see it going bad, the more you see it going good, the more you see how people react to situations, the more that you can say, oh, this is why I need to watch this show, because it gives me at least some sort of confirmation that I'm not crazy and that I'm not the bad person or I'm not doing anything wrong. Life just happens. And it's how I react to it
I love
really
that.
defines who I am.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Oh, that's a really sweet way of looking at the show, too. I love that. You said, speaking of trust issues, you said when we were watching this episode, Lucas and Haley were laying in bed. They were just, it was a late night best friends, just laying there staring out at the moon shining in the window and talking about, as it does, talking about life. And he says, I noticed you're not wearing your wedding ring. And she says, it's not because I don't love him. And it's not because of the press tour or the record label. It's because I feel like I don't deserve to. And you didn't buy it.
No, I didn't.
And I think that's a really genuine. So tell me what you think. Tell me why that bothered you so much.
Wait a minute. We're good friends. Yeah. You tell me why you think I didn't buy it. And then I'll tell you if you're right. Because you know me and I want to see. This is like that, like that on the dating game, they go, how well do you know your partner?
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. You felt like it was an evasive answer. And I think you were bothered by the fact that she wasn't being completely honest with herself. You felt like she wasn't being honest with herself or with Lucas. I think it also bothered you because I know you've been lied to many times by women in your life. And I'm sure that's built up a pattern. So I wonder if maybe your immediate distrust of that answer was partly because you felt like you've been lied to a lot. I don't know.
You are 100% in my mind. You know me better than anybody, and you answered it beautifully. You are right on the money.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I was listening to myself, a much prettier version of myself. And
so you thought the real answer maybe would be, I'm confused. I don't know what I want, and
you got it better the first time when you said that there was a bit of dishonesty to herself about it. You know, I think that she knows why she took it off, but admitting it is too accountable. It would make her too accountable for what she's really feeling.
Which is what do you think?
Which is like, I mean, look, not what's on the show, but what Paul Johansson interprets those types of behaviors.
Well, yes, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Good. Because I want to make sure there's definitely a difference. So my interpretation of that is like, I'm a good girl. I'm never going to cheat on my husband. I'm never going to put it out there that I'm available, even though I'm still married. Blah 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 blah. But I'm going to take off my ring and tickle my best friend on the sofa, giggly with some sexual vibes to it. But I'm innocent though. I'm innocent. My feeling is I'm a diehard romantic. I always have been. I believe in love. I'm just not very good at it. And my feeling is if I truly loved somebody, you would have to cut my finger off before you could get my wedding ring off, even after we divorced, because my love is immutable. It is strong. And I believe in it. I believe in that. I believe in marriage. I believe in that stuff. I just wish that, that there was you and I lived in a fairy tale world where love could survive anything if it was real. You know what I mean? But it can't. It's a romantic vision of the world that doesn't exist. And so it bothers me that it doesn't exist. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
It's not a perfect answer,
also,
but it's mine.
What'd you say?
It's not a perfect answer, but it's mine.
Yes. I still just don't understand it, though. I don't understand. I mean, I get generally what you're saying, but I don't quite understand what you mean.
Does she still love Nathan? Does she still love him?
Yes.
And he knows that she loves her. Right?
Yes. So
that's real. So that's all the ring means. Taking the ring off is not like taking it off because I don't deserve it. Taking the ring off is saying, I'm basically saying I'm available. My heart is not taken by one person anymore. Mm-hmm. That's what the symbolism to me meant. That's why when I called BS on that.
So it was almost like it's a way of deceiving yourself.
That's
but really what you're doing is notifying the world that you are available again.
And do you think any more love story was more profound on the series One Tree Hill for 10 or 9 years than that love story? That was the love story of the show.
Yeah, it was.
It's my favorite one to watch. And I was there when he proposed to you. I shot that episode.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Wait, oh my gosh, Paul, I forgot about that. That's awesome.
And I shot the one where you guys were falling off the bed, leaving the voice message together. And I mean, I loved shooting you guys together.
So I'm gonna bat back at that response. And you're not totally wrong, actually. In my opinion, based on me as Haley listening to that response, I wouldn't say you're totally wrong. What I would say is that there's an element of feeling like she doesn't deserve it because she knows that she hasn't lived up to Nathan's expectations of her, and that she has sort of allowed herself to open her heart to the possibility of other people or someone else and maybe the marriage ending. And that would lead her then to feeling that self-loathing of, I don't even deserve this anyway, which it's kind of like is it a double-edged sword? Is that the right analogy? It's definitely, yeah, I mean, I think I've been in.
Can we, Joy? Can we love? Can you love two men at the same time?
Oof.
Can you be in love with two guys?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I know that I can't.
Yeah.
I know that I can't because I know me now after all these years. I know that I can only love one person at a time.
I mean, I could love people in different ways.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, it's hard.
Yeah.
There's always if I'm really in love with someone, I've done it where I've been in love with someone, it's not working, and then I go out with other people, and as much as I try, great as they are,
I'm the same. Yeah.
I just can't. No, it's too hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was we've commented on the Kieran and Karen.
Yeah, I was going to go to them next because that's another thing of the tragedies of I should go on to this quote. The quote was, "There are two tragedies in life." This is the quote of the episode. "There are two tragedies in life."
Shaw, right?
Yes, to gain the desire of your heart, or to lose the desire of your heart, and also to gain it. So another loss here, Karen and Andy. And
yes, but I love the two actors. I love them very much. In fact, I really love them. The love that felt forced a little bit to me. It felt a little bit unearned in terms of the way that it ended to me. Does it make sense?
What do you mean? Because it just didn't feel like they had enough history? That's
really the crux of the point you captured immediately, as you do, Joy. But part also is that I felt that maybe there was something edited out of the episode that might have given us a little bit more to.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but also you haven't been watching the last 22 episodes, and there has been.
Calling me out publicly. You're calling me out now. And you're right.
Oh, come on. We know you don't have time for that. You're fancy now. You got so much going on.
That last line that he threw out at her.
Right? Oh, that was rough. That felt like it didn't need to be said. What did he say? Oh, I love you too. It just seems like it just isn't enough.
Yeah.
Wow. Ouch. That was rough. Yeah, that was rough. But Karen had a big episode here.
Oh, when she came firing in, man. She does that Irish anger real good.
We were saying in the other episode, her whole chest went red and her face when she got angry with Lucas for something a few episodes ago. It was great.
A lot of scenes together.
Yeah.
And she's such a calm and kind person in life. So it's great to see that her what do they call it? Her paint, her canvas. Her canvas is so beautiful with colors that she can just draw them in. You know what I mean?
It's lovely. There was one moment in this that felt strange to me, which was when after Andy leaves your office and you throw the award through the new glass window, presumably the new glass window.
It didn't feel.
You know what bugged me about it, Paul, is that I just didn't believe Dan would ever give anyone the satisfaction of knowing that they had pissed him off.
No, I agree with you. I think there was some conversations on the set about it was an unmotivated overreaction to me, and I think that I remember having that conversation. But what they wanted was the bookends of the break the window back to back for the drama of the finale, and so they had to get there somewhere. My job is to give them what they wish in a way that feels truthful. Yeah. And honestly, sometimes you can't fully achieve those things when requested, even when you put your very best work into it,
What was your experience like on other shows with things like that? Because I think in TV that happens a lot, where something is just on a page, or a writer's room decided, here's what we need for the poetry of the episode, and they're not taking into consideration that an actor may be able to bring to light reasons why it would not be organic to do it that way. And yet it's television, it's not film. We don't have time to rehearse and adjust all those things. Was it the similar on other TV shows that you had been on, that there was a lot of that all the time, or was it mostly more on One Tree Hill or less, or you've had such a long career?
There's two answers to that I would like to put forward. First off is, because it's a really great question for people that are listening that have, ideas of theater or acting, whatever. And so they may run into these situations. It's always nice to talk about the process, especially the collaborative process on that level. On procedural shows, you know them all. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
There's no conversations. This is what's happening. It's a committee. The committee has just passed down the lectern. This is what's happening to do, because they shoot them fast, you get out, and you don't have debate, on that. It's happening. On a show with a really hands-on kind of showrunner, like a Matt Weiner, who I've worked for, people like that. There's intelligent conversations which help you understand the processes where they got to. And these aren't, these sort of like quick decisions. They're very thought out, and they have meaningful collaborations with actors, and you get to figure things out which work, and they will make adjustments in order to make that work. But to turn it all around from a directing point of view, as a director, and you've worked with me as a director, if an actor says to me, this doesn't feel organic, I feel like I'm faking this.
Yeah.
To me, that is like the death of anything I ever want filmed.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, you are. And I remember one time, you and I were working on a scene, and you were supposed to get really mad and something, and you said, I just feel like I want to like wipe this table clean and smash everything. And I said, well, then do it. And you're like, I can do that? And you kind of stopped. Remember in your tracks?
Yes.
I can do it. I went, yeah. And I said, well, then they'll have to clean it all up. And I said, then they'll have to clean it all up and do it again. Like that's no disrespect to the crew, but that's their job.
Yeah, sure.
We all have a job. Your job is to be truthful, and our job is to give you the environment to be truthful in.
Yes.
So you figure it out,
Yeah. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I remember on soaps, there was such a fast pace with that schedule. And I don't know if they were shot differently in LA than they were in New York, because did you guys do camera blocking? Like you went in and did like rehearsal blocking in a blank room, then you did camera blocking, and then everybody shot. They had like a slot between 1 and 5 that they would go in and shoot their scenes in the afternoon. That's how we shot ours.
2 of the 3 of those. We didn't have a rehearsal blocking that way. We had an on-set read-through where the director and the producers would walk through the set and go, conflict, conflict. And the director would go, this is where you stand, and then you move over here, then you move over here. And they'd literally paint lines on the floor so you wouldn't miss it, that kind of stuff. But then they always had, there was 4, right?
The what?
Always 3 or 4 cameras going.
Yep.
Same time. And then in the afternoon, you'd block out your pieces and shoot them. And you usually do them twice, right?
Because there were some soaps that you would go in and everything was done all at once. So you would go in and do your blocking, then you would immediately do camera blocking, and then you would shoot your scene. So everybody just went in at hair and makeup at different times, but everything would happen at once. And I never liked the idea of that. I'm glad we didn't do that, because it gave us time to process after our blocking rehearsal. You'd have time to process before you went back to camera blocking and said, wait, something feels wrong. Something doesn't feel right about this.
Right. But One Tree Hill was, every director had kind of their own vibe, but we always kept the same kind of formula, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. Everybody, you would come in, get your makeup done. You'd really just get to set and start. You'd rehearse quickly. There was a 20-minute break for camera blocking, or 2 hours, depending on what was going on that day. And then you shoot. Quickly. We did.
I'm sure a lot of the fans would have loved to have been in the makeup room where all the gossip was going down, and people were talking about their weekends and who did what and where and how, and everybody's like bonding and friendships, and people bringing in cookies. It was very nice.
It was fun. There was also a lot of drama in the hair and makeup trailer, and we've talked a lot. Hilarie, Sophia, and I on the show have talked a lot about there's just so easy to have so many misunderstandings, and it is a place for gossip a lot of the time. And something I can say that I've noticed in this business is, as time has gone on, it's not like it used to be in the hair and makeup trailer. It's talking about someone behind their back, or gossip, or, where the whole trailer's just like up in arms talking about something. Mm-hmm. That's not happening anymore. I haven't seen that on a set in a very long time.
Good.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Because it's distracting. And a lot of times I would wear headphones because I just couldn't hear. I have to go do a scene with somebody, and I'm finding all these things out about them that have nothing to do with my scene. And I really want to be focused on
the work,
preparing my performance and preparing my mental place for that character to be walking into the scene. This whole thing that people, one thing that is always lacking in conversations about watching shows, when next time you watch a TV show, and a new scene starts, remember that character's coming in with all the history of everything that just happened to that character before. When you're an actor, that's what you're reviewing before you go into you're walking into the set. Your head's going, when's the last time I saw this person? What did they say to me? How did I react? What happened since then? What new information have I learned? And now I'm walking into the scene and I have something to say. But it doesn't just happen where you walk out and say your lines.
Right.
There's a whole prior event value going on there.
Yeah.
Audiences, when they watch it, they go, oh, this person's always they're coming in with something. It's like, it's because they're doing their work.
Yeah. And you have to have the space to be able to do that in an undistracted space like that. It's super important. I think that's probably why, I think that's one of the reasons why artists get a bad rap as being really fussy sometimes, because you can be in a moment where you're really trying to prepare to give the most authentic performance so that the audience can have the most authentic experience. And if you get annoyed with someone who's bouncing around the set, chit-chatting, or, just being super distracting, or somebody who's standing next to you and just gossiping or trying to rope you into something, and if you in your zone go, I can't deal with that right now. Can we, because it's so hard to stay focused and also turn to someone and go into a completely different zone of, hey, listen, I'm just trying to focus right now on my work, and I totally respect that you want to have this conversation. Would you mind doing it somewhere else? Like, my brain, it's really hard for me to maintain boundaries. But to maintain that dual, like, I don't know how to I can't stay in my zone. I have to come out of my zone in order to take care of someone else's problem, and then try and find my way back into my zone. And that's really hard.
Joy's so difficult to work with. She really I can't believe she asked me not to talk about my new gardening in my backyard. I was in the middle of telling her about my beets being planted, and she said, I need space. Right? And you're like going, no, but I want to hear about your beets. But my favorite person, I think, on the set, everyone has an on-set demeanor, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, like, we're sitting in chairs, we're yakking away, we're rehearsing, or we're talking, we're chatting about whatever. But we're sitting in our director chairs, waiting to go and shoot a scene, and we're all jumping around. There was one person who's my favorite person I've ever worked with, and her name is, I'll name some of her movies. You tell me who it is. Okay. She was in the Daniel Day-Lewis movie about Lincoln.
Okay.
She was in Fried Green Tomatoes, Tender Mercies.
Mary Stuart Masterson?
Sally Field.
Oh my gosh.
My favorite on-set demeanors. Sally comes with her own chair.
Okay.
And a bag. And she's fully rehearsed. Knows not only her lines, but everybody's lines. She's the smartest person in the room. She sits down and she just needle points all day. Wow. And listens. And then when it's her turn, she puts it down, and she's amazing. It's like one of those things where she's just keeps her, but she doesn't leave. Even when she's not in the scene, she's still there, needle pointing.
You worked with her on Soap Dish.
Soap Dish, yeah.
One of my favorite movies.
Very funny movie.
Very funny movie.
Maggie, I was at the gym doing leg lifts. Father Corey told me of your experience in the soup kitchen. Are you all right? And my shirt's off and I'm glistening. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
So good. I love that. You know who else on our show sounds very similar to that, actually? Sharon Lawrence is stellar at that. She is a dynamite actress and also can really manage. She's just such a Southern genteel woman. She knows how to manage every personality around her.
She loves you, Joy.
Oh, I love her too.
We talked at, was it the party that you had at yours? Was it a Christmas party?
My Christmas party, yeah.
She was just, we talked about you, and she's like, she gets what I get. You know what I mean?
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, she really does.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to be an artist in this world.
James had a very sort of solo, alone vibe in this episode. Suffering by himself, kind of like, people come in and go, but then nobody stays with him. He's kind of, I really like the way they designed that to make him kind of like a man alone. You know what I mean? That's
a great point. I hadn't thought about that. I really like that too, because all we've seen of him is with Lucas in the last few episodes where, or dealing with stuff with Dan. And this was the first time, even the dinner table or the barbecue table that Dan set out Set out flowers for apparently. I was like, wow, the lavender's out on the table. Okay, Dan.
I lost my light. Give me a second to turn my light back on. Can I turn it on?
What are you trying to turn on?
My light just popped off.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. We'll turn out his light. But I was going to say, while you do that I love seeing, even though he had that moment with Dan over the barbecue, horrible about Dan telling him about Deb's addiction. It was just such a bad parenting moment. But I think you're right. I love seeing that, giving James the opportunity to just have Nathan wrestle with himself and his own issues rather than wrestling with everyone else's interpretation of Nathan's issues. He just had to be alone with himself.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Choice. I liked it too. There was. Can we talk about Lee and Catherine?
Oh yeah. I love it. Go ahead.
She's throwing herself at him. Herself at him, right? It's a nice place for him to be at as a character, to have this charming, sweet, fun, Southern, full of life girl, like make him number one. And it's kind of nice to see him kind of like just seep in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Mouth. We all love Mouth. He's our favorite go-to anytime guy, like he's always there for you. He's always reliable. But we're going to go
Carolina boy, right? That's why.
He is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Norris. We're going to go to listener questions, but before we do, in the interest of the bookends that we talked about and the theme of this episode, the two tragedies in life. At the end of the episode, Mouth disagrees. Speaking of Mouth, he disagrees and says, no, it's, whoever George Bernard Shaw was never kissed Erica Marsh, right? But the sentiment of gaining your heart's desire isn't a tragedy. I'm curious as to what you think about that quote.
I think George Bernard Shaw was a genius, and I think he's right. I do, absolutely. I mean, you must feel the same way. I mean, I've never suffered more than when I'm in love.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I can handle any tragedy, but when I'm in love, everything is like magnified.
Yes, that's true. But also, what made me think of that? Gaining the desire of your heart. There is a tragedy in it because then you've got it. And now what? Now you have to find something else. It's like the death of the chase. When you spend so long chasing a desire, once you have it, it's scary. It's because it's like, well, what do I do now? Now I have it.
Unless you're the child of an alcoholic and you think that you don't deserve it, and so it's going to leave you at one point. So you better work really hard to keep it.
Oh, interesting.
And the constant, tension to prove you're worthy of keeping that love.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know that I feel that way. I think I do have I love the chase. And then once I catch it, there's a little part of me, and it's anything. It's not love necessarily, but professional things, projects, anything. It's like once you get it, then I think it's kind of a human nature thing. Okay, now what? I got to move on to something else, and that's why the tragedy is that we keep climbing, we keep reaching for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, thinking we're going to arrive somewhere, but we never do.
What's above love? What are you going to reach for above love? Like, what is there above that? Like, how can you reach for anything higher than that?
Yeah, but then you get into the whole esoteric conversation of what is love, and like where, is love a choice, and then the responsibilities of love.
We're having an esoteric conversation. Actually, let me take that. Let me just say this, and this is a conversation I have with Quinn. And I have a very special 11-year-old, so we do have these conversations. I tell him that it doesn't matter necessarily. Like, because I always talk about this pursuit of happiness vibe that goes around. I'm not a believer in it. I don't believe that happiness is something to pursue. It's the byproduct of finding yourself on your purpose.
I agree.
Happiness is kind of like is the result of something rather than a goal in itself.
Yeah.
And in love, as you said, it's like there is definitely value in to want. Just the words to want. I want this. I want that job. I want that money. I want that person. I want that acclaim. To want is a wonderful thing because it gives a lot of direction and a lot of motivation but it's really that in itself, the to want part of the life is really what life is. To get is not what life is, but to want is. You know what I mean?
I do. This reminds me of something my French hairdresser told me.
Oh, this is perfect.
He said, I said, I'm hungry. I was sitting in the chair. I said, I'm hungry. And he said, so? Well, I don't know. I was thinking of ordering some food. He said, you will be done. We'll be done in about an hour. You're fine. You just wait. And I was like, well, but I'm hungry. He goes, it's okay to be hungry. That is life. It's just a feeling that exists. You just are hungry. So what? If you're unhappy, so what? You will be happy again. Just live through the hunger, live through the unhappiness, and you will be fed and you will be happy again. This is the French way of life, he says. It's okay to be hungry.
This is so perfect. We were in Paris 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah.
We had gotten the kids in the car. Sammy's driving. We're going to a restaurant. It's 10 minutes away. We're 4 minutes into the drive. And in the backseat, I hear, can we just go into that restaurant? I'm hungry. What about that pizza place right there? And Sammy's like, got a place for us. He lives in Paris his whole life. He knows where we're going. And he's like, we're 6 minutes away. Yes, but I'm hungry. And the whole car, I was like thinking to myself, is he going to like throw his plans away for us?
No.
But it was like, this is so perfect.
We had such a passive aggressive fight in the car, you and I. By the way, it wasn't 4 minutes in. I was like, at least as long as you're not going to be in the car for like a half an hour. How long's the ride? You said 10 minutes. And then 20 minutes later, I'm in the car. Like, are we still there? And he says, another 10 minutes. And then I started to have the monster come out, my hangry monster. But
I heard it.
At the end of the day, you're right. At the end of the day, it's okay to exist in the feelings that you're feeling because they will pass and something new will come along.
That's all that feelings are.
Yeah.
They never stay.
Yeah. I wish we could tell Peyton and Peyton, Lucas, and Brooke, and Haley, and Nathan that in this episode, and Karen. But we can't. We'll have to wait until next week where Sophia and me will have a special guest, Miss Lindsay McKeon. Very excited for that. So we're going to have a couple listener questions and we'll do a spin a wheel and we'll say goodbye. The first listener question, Paul, do you have your chat open?
Fire away.
Okay, you read the first one, the Triana. Go ahead.
I have always wondered how they decorate the homes with family pictures. Do they have a photo shoots before the episodes is filmed? Also, do they use your real baby pictures or use random people?
They do both. Yeah. I bet every new job I have, if I'm in the house, they ask me to, I usually pawn it off to my mom. I usually send the email to my mom and I'm like, can you send them baby pictures of me, please? Or like family photos.
Yeah. But they also throw us in like clothes from another period in time in our lives. And then maybe they Photoshop our faces sometimes. Remember? Like,
yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
Definitely lots of Photoshopping happening.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Frankie. How does it work when someone who is directing the episode is also in it? Like Paul with episode 17. I've done this too. I don't like this at all. I do not like directing an episode that I'm in. I would much prefer just to sit back and, because it's just so hard to be in the moment of the scene. I'm so fully in the moment as an actor that to have to be watching the other actor in the scene and thinking of notes to give them while we're actually just trying to do a scene. It's very hard for me. How do you feel?
It's different for me. I set it up. I like to see, the framing. So I want to see somebody kind of walk through the paces where we're going to be, what the camera's going to see as it goes along. And once I'm comfortable with what the framing is, I trust, usually we always had, and we had very good people. In fact, our DPs all directed.
Yes.
So their insight was very valuable. And I like to lean on people that I trust. I've actually worked with a lot of people that I don't trust their opinion, but on One Tree Hill, all of the technical crew was fantastic. And I trusted Peter and everybody that was working with. So yeah, I didn't have any problem when I start getting into a scene and acting. It's like I'm one of those fortunate kind of people where I'm not too overly hard on myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My outside vision of myself doesn't overpower my wanting to be present for that other actor. I make that a priority. So a lot of times I'm not sure how it went because I kind of let it go. And then I trust that, Peter Kowalski will go, great, man, move on.
But how do you give another actor that you're in the scene with a note?
Well, usually you'll have done the rehearsal, right? Before,
yeah.
And you'll kind of know what they're going to be throwing out there.
Yeah.
And anything major is going to be addressed in that. But if they're having issues, nuanced issues, generally, and this, most actors kind of know when they've, kind of not been able to hit what they needed to hit to make the scene work. And, I think
that's true.
I think a lot, especially on that show where it wasn't terribly sophisticated,
Yeah, that's true.
Scenes were pretty straightforward.
Good training ground.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, we're going to spin a wheel here. And Paul, this is our every episode we do most likely to, like a yearbook. So which character and which real life person is most likely to, go ahead, read it for us, please.
Become a detective.
Oh gosh. Well, Dan would be
Brooke.
Brooke. Yes, she's such a super sleuth.
Brooke. Absolutely. We didn't even talk about her in this episode.
Oh, I know.
You should have. She was so charming.
She was.
She threw her heart out there, and I was going to bring it up a couple of times, and we kept getting other stuff. But she, that one look away in the car when she was, when she was kind of like, and I know you like Peyton, and then you look away, and they rack focused her, and you just want to put her squishy.
Yeah, we needed her in this episode, actually, there was so much weight and sadness, her floating in and out of.
She's so great with Tyler, isn't she?
Yes,
she's funny.
Yes, I wonder if those two characters ever did end up in bed together. That would have been really funny.
Oh, you know what? If they didn't, it's a missed opportunity because those guys are.
Yeah.
For me, they're the two funniest people on the show.
For sure.
They're very, very funny.
Yes.
And I love Tyler.
Me too.
Her energy was so good in that episode. The one thing I was going to say also, we got to quickly point out this. This was a very strong voice of the opening where the three girls talked about what's inside their minds.
I wasn't in the opening.
No, they were reading. They were reading the quote, and then they were talking. It was like, Hilarie, Sophia, and then, but we were hearing inside their minds for a second as we got into this. And I thought, I love that our show gave that privilege to us as an audience, right?
Yeah.
Like, here's the thoughts of, because we always talk about what's the influence of the show on young people.
Right.
Well, here's young people talking, this is what's inside my head right now as this is happening. And I thought that was a nice way to make a connection with your audience.
Yeah, I think so too. I love that. I love that they allowed us to take over the monologue that previously had only been Lucas's. Yeah, that's really nice. Well, guys, thank you for joining us for this very special episode. Paul, you were awesome. I love chatting with you always. Next time we'll do it later with wine. Dinner at Pache.
I'm in.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Come on back next week. We're going to be watching the season 2 finale, number 23, The Leavers Dance. And we will pull a scenario from the virtual most likely to hat. See you later. Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at DramaQueensOTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iHeartRadio.com. See you next time.
We're all about that high high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens,